Let's do a refresh balayage in 15 minutes together. So starting in the back, top portion of the hair, I'm going to take single strand pieces. So I'm going to scoop underneath to give a little bit of strength to the hair, swipe, and I'm going to do little tiny circles right at the new growth. And as I work my way down, my stroke is going to be a little bit longer to rub through the middle. I'm going to Velcro that onto my brush and put it in the right corner. Drop it down. I like to lift right at the base to give it a little volume so it doesn't get too smushed on the hair. Cover with plastic and your next 1-inch section. You can see the little split there that I painted first. You want to make sure if you're doing anything at the new growth that you're being really conscious of any kind of splits or colics on the top of the head, because if you don't hit that with a single or a highlight, it's going to show. Taking down my next section, I'm a little bit diagonal backwards and I'm going to work in 2 sections right there, the back part and then the front. I'm going to slow it down here so you can see my brush stroke as I skim the hairline to create really beautiful baby lights. It's a pretty energetic stroke, so you're moving your brush really fast, but there's minimal product on the brush. This is going to create seamless highlights around the hairline that aren't too heavy and saturated and going to make the hairline look too solid. So this next part, as I'm working my way up, I am taking 1-inch sections and I'm using singles still, but I'm over directing them backwards. Now you'll see around the hairline where this is really important. I'm lifting up my section, over directing it backwards and orbiting it around. So I'm over directing it in multiple different ways so that I can hit every angle of this hair. I want to make sure that pops right around the face and it feels nice and bright. The next section that's going to come down is going to be horizontal, but I'm taking them in diagonal slices so it creates a triangle, so there's a peak. So you can see I painted that peak right in the front, which will create a really bright piece framing her face. Coming around to the other side, I'm taking it in 2 sections just like the other side. I'm doing this because I want brightness behind the hairline as well. I don't want a dark void right behind the hairline. So I'm doing a nice double right there, but over directing it backwards so it's laying on the previous sections I painted in the back. Coming around the hairline, I'm doing the same thing as I did the other side. I'm going to be skimming, over directing. Now, if you're right-handed, I stand always on the right side here, and so I'm going to have my right arm coming up and over so I can paint over top. It's really a lot easier. Trust me, I've tried a lot of different ways, and it's so much easier to do it that way. Alright, next 1-inch section coming down and still over directing the section slightly so I can paint the ridge of the front of that single. That way, if she curls her hair, it looks really beautiful, and if she wears it straight, she also has a lot of strength in her blonde as it's laying down 2-dimensionally. I am taking 1-inch sections because her hair is quite fine and I need a lot of strength in my sectioning. So if the sections are too thin, the hair is likely not going to have enough strength that the blonde lightener can sit on top of the hair. And that's what we want for maximum brightness, is full saturation. So we are frosting a cake, not icing it. We don't want to see any of the cake underneath the icing or the frosting. So make it really thick. So a lot of product on your brush. As you can see, those pieces are very, very bright white. That is what you want to get the lift that you need on a blonde especially. Now coming around this hairline, again, orbiting that section around. So you can see I'm moving it 180 degrees, 90 degrees, and I'm moving it all around so that I can paint all angles of that front money piece. This shot is pretty cool because you can see the top of the head, which is the most important part, and I think a lot of people get tripped up here. But just taking horizontal sections and consciously imagining where that hair is going to live. So as I'm getting towards the front of the hair, I'm going to change my approach a little bit. These pieces in the back are still going to be doing the same thing, tapping at the new growth, tiny little circles, heavy saturation. And now I'm coming into that front piece, which is going to lay forward, and it could potentially lay backwards. So you can see I'm lifting up. There's a pretty dark new growth. I want to make sure that I'm going to hit those. So you see I just showed you my little fluffy hot dog. It's basically just a rolled up piece of this saran. I'm going to lift that forward, I'm going to lift it backwards, and I'm going to skim both sides of the new growth. That way if she wears her hair back in a ponytail, it's nice and baby lighted. If she wears her hair curled or down like a fringe, she'll have a nice skim on the top too. Make sure you put your fluffy hot dog there for volume so it's not going to squish together, and then another piece over top to just add protection. Coming into this last section, same thing, singles. I'm going slightly off of the pieces I painted on the opposite side of the hairline, kind of bricklaying a little bit. So just consciously being aware of where those are going to fall. If I do them right across from each other, it's going to look like a very big stripe. If I stagger them slightly, it's going to look a little more organic and natural. So I transitioned her out of foils. So I don't necessarily want it to look exactly like a foil, but I want it to look a little softer. So here you can see the processing. We're about to shampoo at the bowl, and that really beautiful skimmed hairline, how that dries. And then those brighter, more saturated pieces through the top that are going to create those more bold ribbons of color. Her hair lifted so amazing with the Sunlight's balayage in 40 volume that we just used the Surface Pure Blonde Violet shampoo, and it gave us this gorgeous neutralized tone that's so clear and very bright. And you can see here all of the beautiful dimension, the gorgeous hairline, all of the ribbons of color they're coming through, and it's still maintaining that beautiful contrast with a really soft rooted blonde. And everything is still really bright, so she can still be that beautiful blonde. If you found this video helpful, please leave me a comment and let me know what else you'd like to see. You can also go follow me on Instagram, where I drop tons of content into my Instagram stories. See you there.